time. Leisure time. Did you ever stop to think how much leisure time you really have? Some of us put our leisure time to good use. And some of us, Ken Michaels, for example, spend most of our leisure time just moping. Moping? He thinks I'm moping. Well, who wouldn't mope?
Physicists have identified the smallest unit of time that the universe itself permits, the base unit of all time itself. It's called Planck time, a decimal point followed by 43 zeros and a 5. Below this threshold, the concept of time itself collapses entirely. Even the universe cannot divide by a moment more finely than this. Time, it turns out, is not an infinite river. It's granular, discrete. It has a bottom. It always runs out. Even though we understood this abstractly, we did not understand it personally. Not until something changed. Not until the Saturdays stopped being infinite. Not until the controller that used to materialize naturally in our hands started requiring indecision to pick up. Not until we looked at a map covered in quest markers and felt, for the first time, something we couldn't name, something that wasn't excitement.
Games like Star Ocean, Gothic 2, and Morrowind. Standing at the edge of discovery as a kid, genuinely believing that horizon went on forever. That feeling was and is everything. Having more to do was always better. And bigger always seemed better. The quests felt endless. The hours of fun, infinite. I didn't understand then that time was something I was spending. To a kid on a Saturday morning, it was simply nothing I paid heed to. I thought it was just there, surrounding everything, asking nothing, as simple as breathing. I was wrong. And the day that I understood just how wrong I was, changed how I perceive every game I've touched since.
Einstein's relativity gave us something more than physics. It gave us a profound and quietly devastating truth about time itself, the block universe, the idea that the past, present, and future are not sequential. They exist simultaneously. Fixed coordinates in the geometry of space-time. The present moment doesn't erase what came before, it joins it. Everything that has ever happened exists, permanently, as a real location in the structure of the universe itself, which means that summer inside of Morrowind, that specific, irreplaceable season of genuine wonder, is not gone. It exists, frozen and perfect. A real coordinate in space-time you simply cannot reach from where you stand now. This is what adult gaming is actually grieving. Not a game, not a genre. The distance between who you are and the coordinates you can no longer revisit.
So inevitably, we return to our basic theme. We exist through our senses. We are bound to reality through our senses. We learn, we survive, we grow through our senses.
Even in my 30s, I could still find blocks of time. Sure, the clock was tighter, but I could work around it. Now I sit down after a full day, and the carrot that I set out for myself, that small promise I made through all the hours of obligation, well, sometimes it's already withered by the time I get there. I'm too tired to be present, and I think, I'll play it tomorrow. I think that a lot. Well, here's what nobody talks about. The time doesn't just get scarcer. The perception of it changes. I spend 20 minutes adjusting settings, scrolling my backlog, downloading games I may never touch, and then that hour is gone. Not to gaming, but to the idea of gaming. The performance of a hobby without the substance of one. Then I open a game like Crimson Desert. I look at the map. I feel that burden of the weight and what it's asking of me. And the possibility of what it could become is now silenced. Not because it isn't incredible, but because now, in this moment, I finally know what incredible will cost.
Something unexpected happens when time becomes precious. It looks from the outside like loss. It's not. Something is being honed. When every hour carries real weight, the question you bring to the game transforms entirely. It stops being, what does this game offer me? It becomes, does this earn what it's asking? And something else happens. Something quieter and more important. You begin to crave novelty, not more content, not bigger worlds, not 100 icons on another open map. Something genuinely new. A gaming experience you haven't had before. A game that surprises you in a way that you didn't see coming. Something unique, special, because here's what adulthood quietly does. It accumulates the sameness of everyday life, the same commute, the same meetings, the same rhythms repeating until the weeks blur into each other. Your brain, starved for genuine novelty, begins to close, and the games that once felt special begin to feel familiar before you've even started them. The open world that thrilled you at 15 arrives now with a map you know how to read. Systems you've mastered before, a loop you can feel before it begins. You don't need more of what you've already had. You need something that makes you feel like a beginner again.
So is recorded the total spectrum of human experience. A tapestry woven from the memories of past sensations, ever growing and unique in each of us.
I check howlongtobeat.com before I buy or play almost anything now. Now, people might hear that as defeat on my part. Like, I've reduced gaming to a transaction. But it's actually the opposite. It's the most honest relationship I've ever had with this hobby. I want to know what the game is asking of me before I commit. And what it showed me is that the games I was dismissing as lesser than at first, Megabonk, Coffee Talk, Skull the Hero Slayer, Hades. These weren't bad experiences, far from it. They were just different ones, focused, intentional, built by people who cared about every single minute of what they were making. You can feel it. That difference between a game built by a small team who couldn't afford to waste a single frame, and a game built by 500 people, optimizing for engagement metrics and monetization. Now, one of these feels like it was made by someone who loved gaming itself. The other feels like it was made by somebody who studied you, the consumer, to maximize profits. Claire Obscure did something I didn't expect. It told me a story, deep enough to matter, linear enough to finish. No guide required. No map full of icons telling me where the wonder was before I could find it for myself. That's the thing large open worlds quietly stole from us. Not our time. Though they took that too. They took the surprise, the joy of finding something unexpected. When every secret is marked, every discovery pre-labeled, every wonder administered by a waypoint or quest log, you can't find what you've already been told is there. That feeling of genuine discovery isn't gone. No, it's just waiting in smaller places than we thought to look.
Portable gaming understood something that living rooms forgot. Less setup, less of the friction that turns an impulse into a project. A device that fits in your pocket is a device that fits into your life, into the margins and gaps and the 15 minutes that would otherwise disappear into nothing. The handheld doesn't demand your evening, it accepts whatever you have, and sometimes in a quiet moment, on a lunch break, in the last few minutes before you sleep. That's exactly enough for something real to happen. Einstein showed us that time is not fixed. It bends. At relativistic speeds, time physically slows, measurable, proven, exact. But there's another dilation that requires no spacecraft. When the human brain enters a state of complete absorption, full attention, genuine engagement, the flow state that only the right experience at the right moment can produce. The brain's perception of time compresses dramatically. The clock doesn't stop, but your experience of it does. Quantum physics gives us another beautiful truth. The quantum Zeno effect, a real documented phenomenon, states that a particle under continuous observation cannot change state. Attention itself freezes quantum evolution. The perfect hour in the perfect game isn't something someone made up. It's the closest a human being gets, physically and neurologically, to stopping time. But here's what no one tells you about the perfect hour. You can't stumble into it. If you arrive at your free time without a plan, without knowing what you're playing, without having made the decision before exhaustion made it to you, the hour will find you scrolling a backlog, adjusting settings, downloading something you'll never open, and all before a single moment of gaming has happened. It's gone. The perfect hour requires intention, not complexity, just a decision made in advance. When you still have the clarity to make it, 3 games, that's all you need. 1 short indie that you can finish that doesn't take much mental focus. 1 narrative game with a story worth following. 1 larger world that you return to slowly, on your own terms, little by little. And when the hour comes, release the plan and step into the experience.
Being a parent fundamentally changed what I reach for in ways I didn't expect. Wobbly Life, Dave the Diver, Tiny Aquarium, it's what I found underneath that constraint, stripped away of everything I was playing for the wrong reasons, to maintain the facade of what a modern gamer is and what a modern gamer plays. It's something more honest than anything I'd have chosen in days past. The good part is the whole part. No 50-hour investment before it starts to open up. Just the experience, immediate, complete, and somehow it's all the more special for it. But here's what I've learned about those nights when a real hour appears for me. The ones that actually work, where I'm genuinely present, genuinely inside that experience, they never happen by accident. An hour, perfectly designed. Tonight I'm playing this. That's it. Because if I arrive at that hour without knowing, I'll spend it wandering, not deciding, questioning if there's something better out there. And that perfect hour quickly dissolves into uncertainty, becoming intangible. And when I land in the right game at the right moment, Detroit become human, pulling me through a story, split fiction with a friend or a loved one, Alan Wake in a dark room. Time does something extraordinary. It disappears. Not because the hour ran out, because I was completely inside it, every minute honored in a hobby I love and adore. That is still the best feeling in my world of gaming, and it's worth planning for.
The wonder didn't leave. It just requires more intention to find now, more than ever.
This'll be our magic screen. Yours will be just for facts. We'll pull back the curtains of our magic screen. We'll dream up a clock. There you are. A clock that's been ticking since time began.
But it's exactly where it always was, waiting inside the games honest enough to hold it. And here's what infinite time could never teach you. When an hour costs something real, an hour genuinely well spent feels like nothing else in the world. The child who played all Saturday never felt this. They were always mid-story, always somewhere in the middle of forever. The satisfaction of something complete, chosen deliberately, honored fully, finished. They never needed it. We do. And that makes finding it extraordinary, From the moment we start most games now, we've already made peace with not finishing them. We've accepted the backlog that we'll never clear, the open worlds that we'll never fully cross, the saves that we'll never return to. And on the other side of that acceptance, something that looks remarkably like freedom.
Unwind time? Man, are you crazy?
The question I bring to every game now is the only one that matters. Will I get genuine joy from the time that I put in? I don't sacrifice a single minute if the answer isn't a definitive yes. But here's what I need you to understand. I'm an optimist. Always have been. I genuinely believe the best years of gaming are still ahead of me. And in those rare, stolen moments when I cast responsibility aside, I remember that feeling of being a kid on Saturday mornings again. When the wind of Ghosts of Tsushima moves through the tall grass on a Sunday with nowhere else to be, the wonder is completely, perfectly intact. The block universe tells us that those childhood summers aren't erased. They exist as real coordinates in space-time, permanent, exact, untouched by everything that came after. That version of you is still out there, still playing, still with everything ahead. We carry it with us in every deliberate choice, in every honest hour, every game we choose because it earns it rather than simply demanding it. And sometimes, in a quiet room, in a planned hour, in the moment a new game loads for the first time and that music plays, and something in you goes completely still. You remember, not just the game, you remember yourself. That child who believed that time was infinite, who didn't need a reason to play, who felt genuine wonder at a horizon that kept going. They didn't go anywhere. You just forgot what they looked like. The wonder is still there. I promise you.
Let's see, what did I do with that cat? It's around here somewhere. I gotta straighten this place up, too. Oh, here it is. You know, photography ought to make a good hobby for me.
Time.
We just finally learned what it's worth. Good luck on your quest.